This is Finlay Sturgis from Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Frank Smith. Frank, how are you, sir?
Very good, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So we'll start off with the main event, Dave Allen. The talk of the town is his physique. What do you make?
We go to overseas and we don't know each other.
You know, look, I think he's finally at the stage of his career where he's giving it 100%. And I can't wait to see what he does on Saturday night, because this is a very tough fight. As we know, Makhmudov, a huge puncher, I think 19 KOs in his career. You know, but Dave has got a chance to set himself and put himself into a position to really change his life. And I'm excited for it. He looks brilliant. He's trained hard. No more ice cream sandwiches.
I was going to mention the ice cream sandwiches and certainly Sausage Gate. He's been leaving his sausages off the breakfast. It seems like he is throwing himself all in. How excited are you for the next stages of Dave Allen?
100%. Look, you got a guy here who sold 10,000 tickets on Saturday night. You know, it's a huge, huge audience. People aren't doing that in the sport. And, you know, to see someone like Dave Allen, who's just really a nice bloke, you know, he's a nice bloke that people understand. People like him because he's a nice guy. And that's what we want more of in the sport. He's probably, if he would have done this at an earlier stage of his career, could you imagine what he would have done? You know, and I think you will see the best Dave Allen on Saturday night, and he deserves every bit of it.
He does deserve every bit of it. You know, selling 10,000 tickets, that's not easy. How electric is that crowd going to be come Sheffield on Saturday?
Unbelievable. And great undercard fights as well. You know, got Janae Boston against Bilal Fouaz as well. Chief support is going to be sensational. You got Josh Padley against Reece Bellotti. You know, it's going to be a great night in there on Saturday.
Another Doncaster fight you mentioned there is Josh Padley. A brilliant fight against Reece Bellotti, it seems. We're going to up the levels for Josh Padley after this, if he wins.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I think when you see what he did against Shakur Stevenson in that fight, he made a name for himself that night. He took a risk, he took a chance, but it paid off for him. And I think as we step into early part of next year, we're going to put him in some big fights. He deserves those, and you know, he's a big seller as well.
Would you be looking at someone like Maxie Hughes, who currently has the WBC silver, or are we looking maybe past that?
I like Josh Warrington fight as an interesting fight for him. Huge fight in Yorkshire as well. So let's see, but there's big fights to be made for him.
Big fights all over the card, especially if you look past Dave Allen. We've been mentioning maybe Deontay Wilder. Is that something you'd like to see?
It's a great fight. You know, there's a lot of talk about what Deontay's doing next. I think the reality is Dave comes through Saturday night. He's really got the pick of who he wants in heavyweight boxing, because he's a huge commercial star. People want to see. And if he has a performance against Makhmudov that, you know, is sensational, he sets himself up to get in there with any of those big names, because the heavyweight division, heavyweight landscape is always looking for big opponents, and that's what Dave Allen will be.
It seems like they're both going for the Anthony Joshua fight. Is that something you'd be looking for Dave?
I don't think so. I mean, I heard about it yesterday. I heard that was the first time I heard it, but I don't think that's the plan or the aim. AJ is on his own path right now as to what he wants to do. He's got a lot of opportunity as to what he goes into next. But you know, these guys, they've got each other on Saturday night, and then we go from there.
Billy Nelson did mention that there's been no word of Bakoli fighting AJ in Africa. Is that not a thing, or has it maybe developed since we last heard?
Look, I like Billy Nelson, obviously, but when it comes to the Bakoli piece, and I've always said this, he's not a commercial star. AJ is in a position where, obviously, the Tyson Fury fight, the Jake Paul fights are huge commercial appeals. Martin Bakoli doesn't have that commercial appeal, you know, so I don't think that's a fight we'll see. I haven't really spoken to Billy much about it. But good luck to him with whatever they're doing next. I know there's a lot of conversation they're having about what's next. So, yeah.
We saw as well recently that Dubois has taken the Frank Sanchez fight, one that Moses Talma did pass up. What do you think about Dubois' next step?
Well, it's a great fight for him. You know, Frank Sanchez is a very good fighter. I think Dubois has still got a lot left to offer the sport. You know, I think we're in a sport where people are written off the back of one fight, a loss, you know, but Daniel Dubois is still young. He's still got a lot left to give the sport. He's done sensational things and excited for it, as has Moses Talma. You know, heavyweight boxing is unlike anything else. You know, one stoppage, people then change their view and you're completely finished. You know, so they've both got big opportunities ahead and excited to see.
Tyson Fury said that Dubois should wipe the floor with someone like Frank Sanchez. Do you agree?
Yeah, look, I'm always open. I'm not the master tactician of boxing, but I've seen a few Frank Sanchez fights. I've seen a few Daniel Dubois fights. I think Daniel Dubois is the favourite in that fight and puts himself in a great position to challenge for a world title again.
Frank Warren has mentioned that Tyson Fury is looking to come back in 2026. Are we going from AJ to Africa straight into the Tyson Fury fight?
Let's see. Africa's not done. You know, there's a lot of talk about fights in Ghana, Nigeria, the Tyson Fury fight. I think we will see Tyson Fury back, as you say, which is great. And I truly believe we will see the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight. When it happens, where it happens, let's wait and see.
Another fighter who we're questioning when and where is Katie Taylor. Do you know any updates on her future?
Not yet. She's taken a bit of time away. She's been involved in the biggest fights of recent times, hasn't she? And, I think she's just having a bit of time to chill. And we shall see what she wants to do next. If she decided to retire, you'd say fair play. She's done, she's been a trailblazer for the sport. So we will wait and see how things play out.
Vidal Riley, there's been talks of a Matchroom signing as well as Ben Whittaker. Is that someone that you'd like to have on the books?
Yeah, look, I met with Vidal Riley a few weeks ago. He's a great character. He's a fighter, I think, that doesn't necessarily get the respect he deserves, as a fighter, because he came from that other side, that influencer side. And I think he's in a position now where he can be involved in big fights that people go, yeah, fair play. He had a great win against Chev Clark, obviously against us. And it'll be interesting to see, but discussions ongoing with him as well. He'll be talking to every promoter out there.
We'll mention promoters. We've got Eddie going on the Era Hawani show. Seeing pipping himself up against Dana White. What do you make of that? That must be exciting.
Yeah, 100%. I believe, I've always said it, not because I've worked for Eddie my entire life, my entire adult life. He's the best promoter out there at what he does. And I think he's the only person that can go up against Dana White. Dana White is brilliant at what he does, undoubtedly, but he doesn't know boxing like he knows MMA. And it's a completely different world, it's a completely different sport. I'm excited about the challenge. We're heavily driven ourselves, even without competition. But adding competition in and going up against someone like them is going to be interesting times.
Would you challenge yourself and maybe dip your toe into MMA, or are we strictly boxing?
Look, I've always been open. I'm not the crazy passionate boxing fan. I love putting on shows and events, whatever that is. So if MMA, if there's opportunity there, of course, and we'll have to teach Eddie a few things or two, and myself. I don't know enough about it just yet, but anything's possible, isn't it? You'd never write anything off. We're involved in a lot of different sports as a business, so I wouldn't say no.
We'll just close on Eubank and Ben. It seems like Conor Benn lost his touch with the aggression side, especially coming into the press conferences. Make anything of that?
I think he's a lot more chilled. I think he'd never been involved in a moment of such magnitude prior to this fight. There was a lot of pressure, a lot of build-up going into that fight. It had been 3 years of back and forth, hadn't it? And I think you're just seeing a much more relaxed, a calmer Conor Benn, less pressure on himself. And, I'm sure he'll take that into fight week and fight night. Look, they're very different characters. And Conor is growing up. He's growing up on the job. How old was he? He's 29 now, is he? He's grown up. He's been through a lot, and I think you're seeing a more calm, composed Conor Benn.
Frank, always a pleasure.
Cheers.